Camper Radio, episode 007. Come on, let's go camping. We are back once again. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Happy Camper Radio Show. This is episode number 7. Where is time flying? Daniel?
It's 007.
007. Okay, Mr. James Bond. Yeah, exactly, I hear you.
Exactly.
Now, you know, you want to know something? I have been watching you very carefully for the past week.
You're just like your neighbor.
Yeah. Let's not go down that road. But anyway, you have been on pins and needles here. And I am one with a short memory span. I totally forgot in the early part of the week that you have an upcoming camping trip that you're heading out on.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And you are taking off when?
Tomorrow at 4 or 5 o'clock, depending on how we get our...
Now, just to give you an idea of how you looked here this past week, I thought for a moment that you went on a day-long hiking expedition in the deep forest, and you came out and forgot to carry your bug spray with you.
Oh.
Because you have been bouncing around. You have been like a kid in a candy shop.
Oh, yeah.
Or a kid on the bus going to the amusement park, because you have been so pumped up and excited about this. And I know you've got your camper all ready to pull down the road, too.
Oh, yeah, it's hooked up to the truck right now. All we got to do is put our stuff in.
Well, I want to see a lot of pictures when you come on back. We're going to gather everybody by the campfire right now, so everybody pull up a chair, grab a glass of your favorite refreshment. It could be a cup of hot chocolate, a cup of Joe, a soft drink. And Daniel, listen to that fire.
That sounds nice, but I'm just wondering if Joe's big enough to fit my cup. He's a short guy, but I don't think he'll fit my cup.
I'm not even going to go there with that one. But anyway, for those of you just joining us here, we'd like to welcome you to the Happy Camper Radio Show. 404-537-2267 is our phone number here at the studio. Give us a call anytime, day or night, with your camping question. You can give us a shout, and we'll get you on the upcoming episode here and answer your camping question for you. Also, let us know what part of the country you're calling from. That's very important to us. We'd like to know where our voices are being heard.
It could be international, Skip. We could be international right now and not even know it.
You could be camping international too.
That would be awesome.
And yeah, that is your big dream, okay? To pull that big truck, that camper
across the ocean.
Yeah, across the ocean. Yeah, put sails on it, and there you go.
Exactly.
And don't forget, you can catch us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker. So, Daniel.
Yes, sir.
Something I was thinking about here this past week, and I've got to reflect on this here a little bit. Now, not very often do you and I agree on certain things, but something you mentioned last week that stuck in my head when I was talking about going to my camping trip up in Hiawassee, which I did less than 2 weeks ago. I told you we got drenched up there.
Right.
All right. I can remember one of the most memorable moments of that entire trip.
What would that be?
That's when I was lying in my tent and listening to this.
I love that. I could go to sleep right now.
Don't fall asleep here in the studio, because I am not going to be the one to wake you up.
Oh, okay.
Your wife may be over here at 8 o'clock in the morning and saying, Daniel, we were supposed to leave 3 hours ago. But listen to that. That's exactly what you were talking about and what I was reflecting on here this past week. Yes, listen to that. That is the beautiful sound of that rain coming on down on your tent, on your rain fly, or on your pop-up in your case. And that's exactly what will keep you in the sleeping bag for an extra 4 to 5 hours a day.
I have to tell you something that drives me crazy. When I'd go camping up in the mountains, there'd be these bullfrogs, and oh my God, they were so loud and annoying. I like the crickets, I like the birds, but the bullfrogs, they're just so obnoxious. Other than that, but you know.
Nah, you don't get very much good sleep with the bullfrogs in the background. And I'll tell you what, if you're down near the creek bed, that's where it's going to be worse.
And then not only did I have to deal with the bullfrogs, then I had to deal with Jeremiah. And that's ridiculous.
Who is Jeremiah?
Jeremiah and the bullfrog. He's a good friend of mine.
That one went right over my head. Now, that song is going to be stuck in my head all night long, too. Okay? Yeah. An old Three Dog Night number. Yes, I can remember that. Last week, folks, we talked about lanterns. Now, Daniel, do you have your lanterns packed?
I was going to bring my lantern over, but my batteries are dead. I got to get some more batteries because I'm not a hardcore outdoorsman like you, Skip. I haven't gotten to that level.
I'm glad you brought that to our listeners' attention, all right, because last week when we were talking about lanterns, we talked about propane lanterns, and we talked about my favorite, which is the gas-powered lanterns, which I will use probably until the day I die. I doubt very much I'm going to deviate from that. But what I wanted to talk about today is some of the alternative camp lighting features that are out there that you can use. Now, you say you're a fluorescent type of a guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I had gone to the camping store this past week and did pick up that replacement pump that I needed.
Okay.
And I got my lanterns back in shape again, so when I'm ready to go out on the next trip, I will be set to go. And just like thinking about you and the rain and thinking about you here and there, I think about you in the camping supply store.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We were just up at the local supply store earlier today looking at stuff.
And it wasn't in the camping aisle where I thought of you. It was by the battery rack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yes, I wanted to talk a little bit today about some of the alternative camp lighting features that you have available to you out there that you may want to go ahead and use to enhance your campsite. And the reason I bring this up here is because when I talk about lighting, I don't want to specifically lay my finger just on one particular style of lighting. In my case, it's going to be the campfire, which is going to be the highlight of your campsite. The lanterns are going to accent my campsite.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line here, I am not looking forward to lighting my whole campsite up like it's a rock concert. And that's what I don't want folks to do. Now, anybody at a campsite or a campground is welcome to my campsite. Some of the best friends in the world I will make will be at a campground. So my door is always open. The welcome mat is always out at my campsite. But I am not going to light it up. I am not going to advertise it as the place to go. You want to come on over and sit down and have a cup of Joe? Hey, I'd love to meet you. I'd love to sit down and talk with you here. Okay, but still, I'm going to go ahead and have my site accented the way I feel comfortable with, because it's almost like being at home. Now, granted, I would rather be camping than being at home sometimes.
Right.
But if I'm going to be camping, I want to feel just as comfortable out there in my campsite as I would sitting in my recliner in front of my flat panel TV in my living room. I want it to be just as comfortable. So I'm going to accent the lighting features of my campsite the way I feel it should be.
Well, what I like to do is Deidre, she got these owl lights from her grandmother, and we hang them up from our awning on our
I saw
pop-up.
those the other day.
I love those. Those are vintage
now
classics.
you've got what, 8 or 10 of those in a chain?
Oh yeah, they're so beautiful. Oh, they just bring back so many memories.
And I have seen quite a few of those too, and they're in the stores right about now as well. You can get them at any department store.
Mm-hmm.
Just go to your camping supply aisle. If you have a camping supply store that specializes in outfitting, you'll find them there as well. You can get them online, and they are very, very good to hang up at your campsite. If you go to our website, which is www.happycamperradio.com, I tossed some new pictures up here just this past week. It's under Camping Pick Springs 2013, and you'll see there just how soaked we got. I didn't take that many pictures. I really wanted to venture away from the campsite and take a look at some of the mountainous areas of the North Georgia region and shoot some pictures there, but the rain was coming down way too much, and I spent a lot of my time in my tent which is where I should be whenever it's raining like that. But I always camp, like I say, near the creek bed, and you'll see some pictures of the creek. I was probably no more than about 10 to 15 feet away from that creek, and that's so important to me as well to get a good night's sleep. Some folks can't do that. Some venture further away from the creek, but to me, when I can lay my head down there at nighttime and I can hear that stream just running, and the babbling brook, as it's called, you've got that going all night long. That's second best to having the rain come down on your rain fly.
I call that nature's sleep machine.
Nature's sleep machine. And you know something? It doesn't cost anything.
Exactly.
Now, one of the things I want to point out, and I have this to show all of our listeners and our viewers, if for those of you viewing our website, I brought my canopy along this time, and I set it up in front of my tent because I knew the weather was going to be nasty, and I wanted to protect my table, my gear, and everything that I had under it. So I brought that along. Now, the only difference is I did not have electricity up there. So if I had those type of lights, those owl lights like you have, there was no way I'd be able to plug them in. But I had just enough lights around my campsite just to make it comfortable, to accent it, and so I could feel relaxed. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different options you have available out there. I saw one of these lanterns recently in our local department store that has these fluorescent lights in them. Now, that's too modern for me. For an old-fashioned guy like myself, no, I cannot get into that.
Well, you won't like what I was going to say. I was going to say, me and Deidre were thinking about getting flashlights, but we're like, no, we'll just use our iPhones.
That's the cheap way. That's the cheap way out. But keep in mind, Daniel, you're camping.
Hey, you got to use all your resources.
Okay, well, if you're
might not get a signal, but you can use that flashlight.
All right, well, before you lose your signal wherever you're going, make sure you download this week's episode of the Happy Camper Radio Show, because I want you to take that to your campground. I want you to share it with all of your fellow campers up there and get them tuned into the show. I'm sure you'll do just that.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I was going to say that I saw one of these fluorescent lights that I was speaking of here just a little bit ago at the camping supply aisle, and I really thought about getting that. And I'll tell you why. Well, not that I'm ever going to use it, but it resembles a lantern. Mm-hmm. It requires, I believe, 4 D-cell batteries to power.
That's what we have.
I will not. I repeat, I will not use it for camping. And I'm not buying it to have it as a keepsake. I'm not buying it to put it in the garage or store it away and never use it again. But you know what I was thinking about doing?
What's that?
Putting it right here on my console.
There you go. We turn off all the lights.
No, I am not going to power it up. You know, I want it because it's a lantern. Okay. I'm not even thinking about the fluorescent bulbs on the inside. But I was thinking about maybe getting that lantern just to have it, maybe put it right up here. So when you and I are kicking back and forth, when I don't want to look at you and I want to look at something that's a little more pleasant to look at, okay, well, I've got this lantern here I can look at.
Right.
Yeah, I've got 3 monitors here in front of me, too, which will do a number on your eyes after a while.
Yeah.
But, you know, I really thought maybe I could get that here, bring it in the studio, and really bring the camping atmosphere to us.
Okay.
And that's why I was thinking about getting that. Now, one of the things I do want to point out, too, even though some of these fluorescent lanterns, let's call them that, because that's exactly what they are, will serve the purpose, it's also very important for you to make sure that you carry some spare batteries with you on your trip. Because at nighttime, you're probably going to be using those lanterns more frequently than you thought you would.
Oh, yeah.
And the battery power will go down. Another thing you also want to be very mindful of as well is when you go to store that lantern away, you've got to remember to take those batteries out, because if you don't get out there and camp as often, say, as you and I do, you may have that lantern and those batteries inside them in your camping supply shelf or your storage unit, and it may be in there for quite some time, and you know very well what will happen if you leave batteries in any appliance for an extended period of time and forget about them.
So, Skip, I have a question. What are your rules for camping? What do you say, okay, this is camping and this is not camping? Where are your lines drawn? As far as, too much technology or not enough technology, or, you're a gas lantern guy, I'm a battery lantern guy. You're a tent guy, I'm a pop-up guy. I want to get a feel for what is it like to camp with Skip Huber?
Well, camping with me, keep in mind, I'm an old-fashioned type of guy. And back in the days, there were no such things as lanterns with fluorescent bulbs in them. There was, back in those days, no idea of taking along a string of lights and plugging them in somewhere to hang above your canopy. All right, that was just not the old-fashioned type of camping that I was used to. So it's almost like you and I, we have our own different styles of music.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm a 50s and 60s type of a guy.
Right.
This modern stuff that you kids listen to today, I'm never going to go there. All right, I don't think you're going to drift back into my era.
I like some of the old stuff.
Not to the extent that I do.
Maybe.
So some of
it
the
probably
things,
means more to you.
I guess the easiest way to explain this would be, once you've grown up with something, once you've made it a part of your life, it will continue to be a part of your life all the way until the day you die. As humans, we don't like change.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you know that. So, we stick with what we're comfortable with. And now I do understand, and I've talked about this very, very extensively, as, the tents, they're going to wear out in time, and they're eventually going to be replaced with something better and something more compact. Now, I've got to kind of step over my boundaries here a little bit, because even though I enjoyed the tent that I've had for a number of years, the tent I've got now is about the same amount of money. It's built a lot better than the tent that I bought, say, 16 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and you have to adapt to that. There are some things you do have to adapt to.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
But I try to keep everything simplistic. I try to not really overdo it, because when I go camping, it's just me out there now. My kids are grown up. I would love them to knock on the door someday and say, "Hey, Dad, what are you doing this weekend? What do you say we go camping?" You won't have to ask me twice. All right, we'll be loading the gear into the truck, and we will be gone in a blink of an eye. But that's wishful thinking right there. But if it's just me going out somewhere, then yeah, I definitely want to go ahead and try to make things as easy and simplistic as I possibly can. Now, I have some friends that really go overboard. They bring so much stuff up. They take so much time getting prepared that by the time they do get everything all set up, they were more exhausted doing that than they were before they even left out on their trip, and they needed to get away. So, you can see my things, my operation right here on the website at happycamperradio.com, and you can see it's not very much. I have my storage bins, I've got my table, I've got everything there, I've got the canopy, and of course, I have got my lanterns. And that, my friends, beside the campfire, is the feature part of your campsite. Accent your campsite, don't overdo it. Now, the electrical connections. Now, I know you're going to be parking somewhere at your campground. Incidentally, Daniel, why don't you share with us where you're going?
It's the campground by Pohick Bay. It's off 95 on your way to DC. It looks like a really nice campground. It's very reasonably priced, depending on what you're looking for.
Now, you're not going up here for the purpose of shaking hands with politicians, are you?
Absolutely. I want to petition them to make everyone required to go camping, to know how enjoyable it is.
I think maybe...
I'm going to lobby Congress.
I think maybe that might be a law that I would endorse.
There you go. Exactly.
Because
I'm starting here.
Hey, you've got to admit, the camping brings out the best in all of us.
And the funny thing is, around DC, there are a lot of parks, and there are a lot of places that you can go camp.
Mm-hmm.
I just find it interesting.
Well, a lot of the campgrounds that we feature here on the Happy Camper Radio show has sites that most, not all, but most have electrical outlets.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there, I would encourage you to go ahead and get a string of lights like you have your owls.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Because if you're going to pay for a site and you're going to have electricity there whether you like it or not, the way I look at it, you're paying for it, so use it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I myself do not have any of those particular lights. I haven't found a need for them yet. You may talk me into it. Now, and Daniel, when it comes to camping, folks don't talk me into too much stuff that I don't already have my mind set on.
You're not going to like what I'm about to say, but unfortunately, my campground doesn't have Wi-Fi. It's only Wi-Fi at the front desk. We couldn't get Wi-Fi or a lot, so I'm kind of bummed about that. But I know that's crazy talk for you.
You are going to go out of your mind this entire week. You know, you're going to be so hooked on your technology that you're not going to really enjoy your trip. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that because I really think, you will be overpowered. You will be overcome by everything, the nature, the beauty, the camping, the fire, the whole 9 yards around you. I think that will overpower you for maybe just a week, right?
There's something you don't know about me, Skip. I'm a big kite guy. I just bought a kite tonight at the store, and I cannot wait to get out of there. It's near a bay, so I know it's windy. There's nothing I like more than to get out in the middle of a field and have a kite in the air. Oh, it is the greatest feeling in the world.
Well, that's great. And I'll tell you what, I'm sure you're going to have a heck of a good time while you're up there. Another thing that you might want to also consider, and I've used these before, are tiki torches.
Oh, yeah.
I love tiki torches, and you don't
still
really
have yours.
That's something else you borrowed that you need to return? Hey, by the way, take care of that wrench that I've loaned you too. I'm going to be looking to get that back.
I put that in the truck, so if something happens, I'll be ready.
I have used at the very most 4 tiki torches, and they provide more than adequate lighting at your campsite. And it really, really accents your entire site. And if you've got those, you almost don't need to fire up your lanterns because you have more than adequate lighting there. I just encourage families who do take along tiki torches, make sure, number one, you bring a shovel with you because you're going to need to bury that stake very, very securely in the ground. You don't want it knocked over. Now, some of these ones come with a steel pole that you just simply push into the ground with your foot and you pull it out when you're done. Either way, you want to be very careful of those because you want to make sure they're secured. And if you have young children, you want to, again, educate your children that you don't go around these things. You don't want to play with these things, okay? You don't want to knock them over. They are there for lighting purposes. They are there for your enjoyment. And again,
keep the bugs away.
And well, I have my reservations about that. I don't really believe they do what they say they're supposed to do. I heard good and bad about that, but I use tiki torches specifically for lighting and enhancing my campground. I want to touch a little bit right now on camp stoves. Now, Daniel, do you have your camp stove? Or are you going to be? What are you going to be using?
We're gonna try to use the gas that's in the gas tank or in the propane tank on my pop-up. Mm-hmm. Hopefully it's full enough. But
now, do you have a stove built in there?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, do you have an oven inside?
Yep. No, we don't. We just have
a
stove.
So you're basically going to be doing all your cooking and everything from inside your pop-up. Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of different camp stoves out there. I'm not going to touch too much on them today. That'll probably be a very extensive conversation that we're going to be having a little down the road. But there are a number of different stoves out there, and if you take a look at some of the ones that I have graduated to, I am using little portable stoves that require these butane canisters. They are almost like hairspray cans. And you insert those inside your stove, you can get roughly 3 to 4 good meals out of one of those canisters. The downside of using those canisters are not widely available. In other words, if you find a place where you can buy them, you better remember who carries them because you can't just buy them anywhere. But they are compact. They have their own little case that you can put them in. I do also have a 3-burner dual fuel stove that I have used for a very long time. And again, when I talk dual fuel, you can either burn camping fuel otherwise known as white gas, or you can use unleaded gasoline. For your dual fuel models, I would, if possible, use the camp fuel because, again, like I say, it burns very clean. But from an economic standpoint, the unleaded gasoline is going to be a whole lot cheaper. Unleaded gas today, what, Daniel, about $3.49? Somewhere in that.
I paid $3.
El Cheapo here. I know you.
Well,
I paid $3.29. You count your pennies very carefully.
Gift card and give me 10 cents off and stuff like that. I'm all gassed up, ready to go.
Yeah, so I mean, you're going to save a lot more money if you go the route of using unleaded gasoline versus your camp fuel. But like I said, I pretty much today I use the small butane stoves. They work very, very well for me. Next week, I'm going to probably touch a little bit more on this subject matter, and we're going to talk about some of the propane models that are out there. My buddy who went up to the camp this past couple of weeks with us, Greg, he is a wonderful guy. I worked with him for a number of years. Last Christmas, his wife bought him 2 brand new propane camping stoves. And my mouth was watering when I looked at those things. Oh, heavens. I says, hey, I hope you don't mind this. I'm going to take a couple pictures. I'm going to put it on the website. I haven't heard from him yet, but he's probably looked at them already, and he's going, wow, those things belong to me. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'll tell you what, it's Daniel, I'm real excited for you. And I've got to tell you, that spot you have right there at the very front of your camper, that little storage area, you opened that really up nice. The other day. You have all kind of things in there.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I wanted to warn you, just be careful whenever you arrive at your destination tomorrow. When you open that up, be very careful that you don't have a stowaway in there, because I've been getting a little jealous about this trip that you're going on here.
That's funny.
No, I'm going to go ahead and let you have a great time, and I'm sure you will, and I'm sure your wife is going to have a great time as well. Right now, it's time for our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. And this week, we are heading to the state of Iowa, to Acorn Valley. Their season is about to get underway. In fact, it's just about 2 weeks away from now. They're going to be getting things fired up there. It's very, I want to say, to the northwest of Des Moines, Iowa. I'm looking at the Google map here on their website there. It's not very far away. They have 95 sites available. It sits on Saylorville Lake. This is a 26,000 acre lake. Very big, stretches 50 miles over the Des Moines River Valley. They've got a lot of great amenities up there. We're talking about fishing, hiking, swimming, you name it. And here's one of the great features of this. There is an abundance of wildlife in that area. White-tailed deer, turkey, pheasants, waterfowl, small game animals, they all roam the area. And I can't begin to tell you how many mornings I woke up in the past, unzipped my tent, and there was a family of deer just walking through there. It doesn't get any nicer than that. I would love to wake up to that each and every day. They've got a lot of great amenities here at their site. They've got electrical hookups. Daniel, there you go.
All
if you
right,
want to
I'm
change
ready.
your plans and head out to Iowa, they've got electrical hookups there. Accessible showers. They've got a picnic area, recycling, you name it. This is a great place to go camping, and you might want to go ahead and consider it. It's on our website. It's our featured campground of the week. It's Acorn Valley, Iowa, and you can find it by visiting our website at www.happycamperradio.com, our featured campground of the week. And if you have a campground that you would like for us to feature on the program, by all means, drop me an email, skip, S-K-I-P, at www.happycamperradio.com. We'll take a look at it and make sure you include a link to the campground's website. Daniel, it's great having you here. I'm going to go ahead and let you run out the door because I know you've got plenty more to do here before the morning runs out.
Oh, I do.
And I want a full report when you get back, too, okay?
Definitely. Lots of pictures, too.
Looking forward to it. Catch us online again, www.happycamperradio.com. Like us on Facebook, and of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I'm a happy camper. Daniel, you are a happy camper too. Glad to have you aboard. Catch you next week, folks.